The council spire loomed over Ecliptus Prime like a blade driven into the void. Its silver hull shimmered in the planet's aurora, a monument to peace built by species that had forgotten the meaning of war. Captain Helena Cross stepped into the chamber, her boots echoing across the obsidian floor. Hundreds of alien delegates watched from tiered platforms, feathers, scales, and luminous skin glinting under the cold light. In the center, a single chair awaited her. Captain Cross of the Terran Confederacy. The herald's voice boomed, filtered through half a dozen translators. You stand before the Galactic Conquered under accusation of war crimes. Helena didn't bow. She folded her hands behind her back, the uniform's black fabric whispering against the air. State the charge, she said evenly. From the upper dais, Archon Geltar rose. The Sarathi towered over the others, his chitin armor polished to mirror sheen, eyes burning with amber light. The destruction of Virella 9, he hissed, his mandibles flexing. 40,000 civilians. Concord Colony. The wreckage bears your species mark, whispers rippled through the chamber. Holograms flickered to life. Images of molten terrain, broken cities, fragments of metal stamped with Terran serials. Helena's gaze didn't waver. Those alloys were retired 2 centuries ago. Anyone with a forge and an ego could replicate them. Geltar's tone turned predatory. So you deny humanity's hand? I deny stupidity, she replied. If we wanted to start a war, Archon, you wouldn't be here to accuse me. Gasps cut through the chamber. A dozen translators hesitated before rendering her words, unsure if they were threat or fact. The Archon's mandibles twitched. Humans always veil violence in logic. You wage war with reason as your weapon, and you wage peace with fear. Helena said quietly, we all have our methods. From the human delegation box, Admiral Tien's voice crackled through Helena's ear implant. Hold your line, Captain. The Council's watching your restraint. I know, she whispered. So is history. Geltar motioned toward a hollow projection, a twisted starship drifting in space. This was found near the attack site. Its hull matches Terran fleet design. Helena studied the image. Beneath the melted plating, she saw something subtle. A sequence of hull indentations spaced too perfectly. A fabrication pattern, not Terran military standard. Someone wanted it to look human. Convenient, she murmured. Geltar's claws scraped the podium. Convenient or not, the evidence is irrefutable. The Council demands an explanation. Helena met the Archon's glare with calm precision. Then perhaps you should start by asking who benefits from a war that wipes us out. A silence thickened the chamber. Even the air filters seemed to pause. Then the Archon leaned forward. Humanity benefits. Conflict is your natural state. Helena smiled faintly. Then peace is yours. And yet here we are. Hours later, the hearing adjourned. The corridors of the spire were sterile tunnels of glass and gravity fields. Helena walked alone toward her assigned quarters, the faint hum of energy conduits vibrating beneath her steps. Her wrist implant blinked. A secure message. Unregistered origin. She hesitated, then tapped the air. A string of encrypted glyphs unfolded into human script. Echo, trace. Evidence falsified. Origin. Sarathi Dominion Labs, Dock Cluster 9, move fast. You're being watched. Blackbird, Blackbird. A ghost from her intelligence days, long thought dead. Helena shut down the projection, her mind already assembling the pieces. The Sarathi were masters of manipulation, but this level of falsification implied direct intent. Someone within the Conquered wanted a pretext. Humanity's restraint after the siege of Sol had unsettled them. They feared what they didn't understand. She reached her quarters, dim lights reflecting against the panoramic window. Outside, Ecliptus Prime spun below, a marble of green and gold wrapped in stormlight. For a moment, she let the silence settle. Then her comm link chimed again. Admiral Tien's hologram appeared. Older, weary, his uniform lined with scars of diplomacy. Captain, he began, voice low. The Conquered's in uproar. Half the delegates want sanctions. The other half want disarmament. Geltar's pressing for fleet inspection. Helena's jaw tightened. He's setting the stage for invasion. Tien sighed. Our fleets are grounded under the Treaty of Iron. We can't move without violating it. Then we don't move, she said. We watch. Every lie leaves a fingerprint. Tien studied her face. You're planning something? I'm planning survival, she said softly. He nodded once. Then plan fast. His hologram faded. Helena sat at the small metal desk, opening the encrypted archive embedded in her neural implant. Streams of data filled the air. Metallurgical scans, warp signatures, transmission fragments. The pattern was unmistakable. The alloys used in the Varela attack matched Terran blueprints, but the isotope ratios were off. The titanium had traces of Sarathi plasma bonding, something impossible in human forges. Sloppy, she muttered. They've forgotten what precision means. Her assistant AI, Lyric, flickered to life. Captain, shall I forward these discrepancies to Concord Intelligence? No, she said sharply. That's the first place they'll bury them. Then what's the plan? Helena looked out the viewport. Distant ships drifted like fireflies, patrol lights weaving patterns of silent suspicion. We leak it, she whispered, not to the council and to the public nets. Let the galaxy see what truth looks like before the politicians strangle it. Lyric's tone softened. That's a dangerous move. So is breathing near Zeltar. The AI paused. Permission to encrypt self-destruct if traced? Granted. The next morning, Helena entered the lower assembly hall for the second session. Delegates murmured as she passed, predators scenting weakness. Zeltar stood already waiting, his form lit by the great holographic banners of the conquered. Captain Cross, he said smoothly. I trust you've had time to prepare your defense. She nodded. I have, and? Helena approached the center platform. The wreckage from Varela 9 was manufactured in Sarathi yards. The isotopic decay rates don't match Terran metallurgy. You framed us. The hall erupted into chaos, growls, shrieks, and metallic chatter. Zeltar raised a claw. Baseless accusation. You expect us to believe you over evidence? I expect you to remember science, Helena said. And the last time someone underestimated human analysis, their planet glowed for a century. The silence returned, sharper this time. Even the Sarathi guard beside Zeltar hesitated. You're playing with fire, Zeltar warned. Helena met his gaze. Fire's how we survived the dark. The council adjourned in uproar once more. Helena left before the gavel struck. In her shuttle bay, as the doors sealed behind her, she received a final coded pulse from Blackbird. Trace confirmed. Operation Iron Veil active, Zeltar moving to erase evidence. Dock 9 sealed in 2 hours. She closed her eyes briefly, exhaling slow and steady. So it begins. Outside the viewport, the orbital night deepened, and somewhere within it, unseen engines whispered awake. The corridors of the council spire felt colder now, not in temperature, but in intent. Helena Cross moved through them with silent precision, her expression composed, every step measured. Around her, alien dignitaries whispered in languages the translators refused to repeat. She could feel the shift, the quiet isolation that always came before political execution. Her wrist implant buzzed once. A single pulse. Blackbird's code. She turned into a maintenance access tunnel, deactivating the surveillance drones with a flick of her wrist. The bulkhead door sealed behind her with a muted thud. The tunnel opened into an abandoned comms relay chamber. Dust hovered in zero gravity, glittering in the dim emergency lights. A figure waited by a broken console. Not human. Admiral Corrin, she greeted. The alien inclined his scaled head. His species, the Thaluri, had fought beside humans during the Siege of Sol. His voice carried a faint metallic echo. You shouldn't have come alone. I don't bring fleets to conversations, Helena replied. Corrin's silver eyes narrowed. You still play diplomat when the knives are already drawn. She smiled thinly. That's what makes us dangerous. He extended a data core, crystalline and faintly pulsing. Intercepted from the Sarathi Dominion's inner network. Confirms your suspicion. The alloy fragments were forged in Dock Cluster 9. The Concord's Intelligence Bureau helped scrub the logs. Helena's jaw tensed. So it's not just Zeltar. The Council's covering it. Peace built on illusion, Corrin said softly. They fear the truth more than war. Helena connected the core to her wrist link. Streams of encrypted data scrolled across her retinal display. Transmission records, forged timestamps, plasma residue mismatched with human reactors. The evidence was undeniable. Why help me? She asked, not looking up. Corrin's slit pupils narrowed. Because I fought beside your people once. I watched you rebuild a shattered planet with your bare hands. The galaxy thinks you are monsters. I know better. Helena met his gaze. Then you also know what happens when someone corners a species that survived extinction. Corin's lips curved into something between respect and warning. Then I suggest you don't give them that reason yet. He turned and vanished into the tunnel's dark curve. Helena uploaded the data to her ship's encrypted node and opened a secure line to Admiral Tyen. His hologram appeared within seconds. Weary eyes. Sharp tone. Tell me you have something, he said. I have proof the Sarathi fabricated the attack. Doc 9. Internal collusion from conquered intelligence. Tyen's expression hardened. If that's true, then this isn't about the treaty anymore. It's a purge. Exactly, Helena said. They want the war to be righteous, so they made us the villain. Send me the files. Negative, she said firmly. The Concord monitors all transmissions leaving this sector. If they trace it, Earth becomes target 1. Then what's your play? She leaned closer to the hollow field. Expose it from inside. Tien's silence lingered. You're walking into a nest of vipers, Helena. Good, she said. I brought fangs. Hours later, Helena entered the lower archive vaults beneath the council spire. The halls were empty, the kind of silence that implied presence rather than absence. She reached the data core terminal and inserted the crystalline shard. Lyric, her AI materialized in a faint blue shimmer. Decryption complete. Estimated 43 seconds until the council security net detects intrusion. Plenty of time. Lines of code unfolded. Cross-references between conquered intelligence and the Sarathi Dominion. The words Iron Veil Protocol repeated throughout. Each log was marked with the conquered seal. Lyric, Helena said quietly. What's Iron Veil? The AI hesitated. Classified under level Omega. Authorization beyond your clearance. But fragments indicate it's a contingency plan. To neutralize Terran influence through containment or erasure. Helena exhaled slowly. They planned this years ago. Security alarms flared. Red light cutting through the blue. Security drones inbound. Lyric warned. Helena pulled the data core and sprinted through the auxiliary maintenance shaft. Plasma bolts hissed past, scorching the walls. Her pulse stayed calm. She counted the rhythm of her steps against the mechanical hum. She reached an airlock, sealed it, and decompressed into a service bay that overlooked the planet's horizon. Below, Ecliptus Prime's night side gleamed like a spilled constellation. Lyric's voice followed through her implant. You have 3 minutes before Council security reaches this deck. Plenty of time to make a mistake, she said. She opened a private channel. Blackbird, it's cross, confirmed Doc 9 coordinates. Static answered. Then a distorted voice, confirmed. They're purging evidence now. You're not safe there, Captain. I wasn't safe the moment I walked in. Then you know what comes next. Helena smiled faintly. Yes. Leverage. 2 hours later, the emergency session of the Conquered Council reconvened. Helena stood before them again, composed but sharp. A faint trace of exhaustion in her eyes that only made her seem more human. And more dangerous. Archon Zeltar opened the proceedings with mock civility. Captain Cross, your unauthorized presence in restricted data sectors constitutes espionage. Do you deny it? I don't, Helena said simply. Because you've already decided the verdict, the council murmured. Zeltar's mandibles twitched. You admit guilt? I admit curiosity. Her voice was calm, surgical. The kind that uncovers Iron Veil Protocol. A plan to erase my species under the guise of peacekeeping. The hall erupted in uproar. Delegates turned to one another, shouting through translators. Even those allied with the Sarathi looked unsettled. Zeltar's voice cut through the chaos. Lies, fabrications. She accessed falsified archives. Helena raised her wrist implant, projecting the stolen data mid-air. Then perhaps the Conquered's own encryption signatures are lying too? The holograms displayed the Conquered seal, the time-stamped communications, and the forged orders to frame humanity. The light flickered across alien faces. Disbelief, fear, guilt. Helena continued, voice low but unyielding. You speak of order and peace. But every empire that claimed peace demanded someone else's silence first. Humanity learned silence long ago. It's time you heard what it sounds like when we stop pretending. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Counselor Eyre of the Voth Alliance, a neutral faction, leaned forward. "Captain, if your accusations hold truth, this council must deliberate privately." Geltar slammed his clawed hand down. "No, we end this charade. The human envoy is a threat to stability." Helena's eyes locked on his. "And you're afraid of what stability costs," he hissed. "You will be confined pending investigation." Two Sarathi guards approached. Helena didn't resist. Instead, she turned slightly toward the delegates. "Ask yourselves why a single human with a datapad frightens your armies." Her words followed her out of the chamber. They placed her in a holding cell made of photonic barriers and gravitic dampeners. Transparent walls that hummed with power. Lyric's soft voice broke the silence. "Captain, I've traced outgoing transmissions. The Council is scrambling to suppress the leak, but fragments are already spreading across open networks." "Good," Helena said. "Truth's like oxygen. You can't contain it forever." Footsteps echoed outside. Admiral Karan appeared beyond the barrier, expression unreadable. "They've declared you rogue," he said quietly. "I expected that." "I can get you out," he said. "But once you leave, there's no coming back." Helena met his gaze. "There wasn't the moment they lied. Corin deactivated the field." "Then what's your next move?" She stepped past him, the faint hum of freedom wrapping around her like gold armor. "Find Dock 9 and end Iron Veil before it starts." As the shuttle detached from the spire, the stars stretched into thin lines of light. Helena stood at the viewport, her reflection merging with the void. "Lyric," she said. "Yes, Captain?" "Mark this day." "For what designation?" She looked out into the dark. The day peace finally told the truth, and with that the engines roared, the sound of a promise reborn in silence. The shuttle drifted through the void between Ecliptus Prime and the Dominion perimeter, its hull cloaked in dampened emissions. Inside, the only sound was the hum of engines and Helena Cross's measured breathing. She stood near the viewport, the ghost light of distant stars washing across her face. Her mind replayed every step that had led her here. The accusations, the falsified evidence, the whispers of a buried program called Iron Veil. Her AI, Lyric, broke the silence. Dock Cluster 9 in visual range. Sarathi perimeter grid active. 8 defense satellites, 3 patrol frigates. Helena studied the holographic map hovering in the air. Transmit a ghost signature. Make us look like one of their cargo haulers. Risk factor? Do it, she said. The shuttle's skin shimmered, its transponder flickering with Sarathi codes stolen from the Conquered archive. The patrol scanned, hesitated, then turned away. As they approached Dock 9, the scale became clear. A fortress disguised as industry. Massive spires jutted from an asteroid's surface, surrounded by ship frames suspended in construction cradles. Each one carried familiar angles. Terran design elements twisted with alien aesthetics. Helena felt something tighten in her chest. "Those are ours," she murmured, Lyric confirmed. "Echo Vanguard prototypes, based on pre-treaty human warship blueprints, modified with Sarathi plasma conduits. They're building a fleet," she said quietly, "and blaming us for the need." She donned a matte black infiltration suit, her expression turning colder by degree. "Lyric, keep comms dark. If I don't return in 30 minutes, I know," the AI interrupted softly. "Erase the ship and scatter the data." Helena almost smiled. "You've learned pessimism. I've learned humanity." The airlock hissed open. She stepped into the docking corridor, gravity alternating in pulses from the rotating station. The lights flickered, sterile white cutting through metallic shadows. 2 Sarathi engineers passed nearby, their language filled with hissing consonants. Helena moved like a shadow, slipping through access conduits, memorizing every turn. Finally, she reached a restricted hangar. Inside, rows of gunmetal gray vessels lined the bay. Echo Vanguard ships. Sleek, predatory, unmistakably Terran in bone and muscle. Her fingertips brushed one hull. The alloy was familiar. Titanium vanadium composite, human-forged. But the heat signature was wrong. It wasn't built. It was grown, molecularly printed with Sarathi technology. "This isn't replication," she whispered. "It's resurrection." A voice behind her cut through the silence. "I was wondering when you'd find this place." Helena turned sharply, weapon drawn. A tall figure emerged from the shadows. Gelter, armor glinting in the low light. His presence filled the room like gravity itself. "Archon," she said coolly. "I expected your claws on the trigger, not the evidence." He smiled, a slow, calculated baring of fangs. "Peace requires control. Humanity refuses it. You were never meant to exist beyond your cradle." "You call that peace," she said. "You built a weapon and painted our name on it. A necessary fiction. The galaxy needs an enemy to remain united. Then you've learned nothing about us." Geltar stepped closer, the sound of his armor like grinding stone. "On the contrary, I've studied humanity for decades. You thrive in war, but wither in peace. You need conflict to define yourselves." Helena met his gaze without flinching. "Maybe, but we don't start wars to prove it." He gestured toward the rows of ships. "And yet you built these. The blueprints came from your own archives." Helena's voice dropped to a whisper. "You stole them. From Iron Dawn Fleet archives sealed by treaty." Geltar tilted his head. "Do you know why we call it Iron Veil? Because iron hides truth better than lies ever could." Before she could answer, the hangar doors sealed shut. A shimmering field trapped her inside. Geltar's voice echoed through the comm speakers. "You should have stayed silent, Captain. Now you'll die proving humanity's guilt." Helena holstered her sidearm, eyes sweeping the room. "You're assuming I came unprepared," Lyric's voice whispered in her ear. Signal received. Activating infiltration protocol. Alarms blared. The overhead lights flickered as power rerouted through hidden relays Helena had planted earlier. The containment field flickered, destabilized, then collapsed. She sprinted toward the nearest console, slamming a data spike into the port. Streams of encrypted data flowed into her wrist implant. Geltar's distorted voice boomed through the chamber. "You can't expose what no one will believe." Helena smiled grimly. "Belief is irrelevant. Facts are persistent." Explosions rippled through the dock. One of the unfinished ships broke loose from its cradle, crashing into another. Fire tore through the hangar, and emergency shutters slammed down. Helena dove through a maintenance hatch as flames licked the walls. The tunnel was narrow, filled with smoke and the metallic tang of burning plasma. Her lungs ached, but her steps never faltered. "Lyric, what's our status?" "Extraction route compromised. Secondary path available through external docking rail." "Then plot it." She crawled into an external airlock and looked back once. The hangar burning. Geltar's silhouette watching from the control deck. "Run all you want," his voice thundered. "The Conquered already believes you guilty. Your truth dies in vacuum." Helena pressed the release. The airlock opened into open space. For a breathless moment, she floated above the inferno. An ant before a god's forge. Then her shuttle appeared, engines flaring blue. Lyric's voice. "Catch Vector in 3 seconds." Helena propelled herself forward, magnetic tethers snapping around her wrists as she latched onto the hull. The shuttle shot away, leaving Dock 9 in ruin. Inside the ship, the data spike projected stolen files into the air. The words glowed like scars. "Project Echo Vanguard, Iron Veil Implementation Directive." Helena scrolled through. "Objective: construct false Terran fleet. Initiate controlled strikes to validate humanity's aggression. Post-engagement containment justified by Council decree." She felt the breath leave her chest. The Sarathi weren't acting alone. Dozens of signatures appeared beneath the directive. Council members, admirals, and intelligence heads. It wasn't one empire's scheme. It was a coalition's conspiracy. "Lyric," she said slowly. "Transfer all copies to encrypted burst relay. Send to Admiral Tyen, Blackbird, and Corin. Transmission underway." "But Captain, intercept patterns suggest the Conquered is moving to intercept your signal." Helena leaned back, eyes hard as steel. "Then they'll get it anyway, even if I have to burn the stars for light." The shuttle broke through the last gravity well and entered hyperspace. The stars stretched into endless lines. For a long moment, Helena said nothing. Then she spoke softly. "Lyric, record this log." "Ready." Personal record, Captain Helena Cross, the Sarathi Dominion. In alliance with select Conquered factions. Initiated Project Echo Vanguard to provoke a galactic conflict under humanity's name. I've secured evidence, though the Council will brand it forgery. I no longer represent the Terran Confederacy. I represent survival." She paused, the words heavy but steady. "If this message reaches Earth, tell them. Our silence was mistaken for submission. It's time the galaxy remembered what humanity truly is. Patient, not passive. She ended the recording. Captain, Lyric said quietly, Admiral Tien's fleet is moving. They've activated emergency recall orders. Earth knows. Helena's voice was barely above a whisper. Then the Covenant's broken. Correction, Lyric said. No, it's reforged. Outside, the stars bent back into focus. Dock 9 was gone, consumed by its own deception. But in its ashes, a signal spread through every major channel. Unstoppable. Jeltar had wanted control. Helena had given the galaxy a mirror instead. The transmission spread faster than light. By the time the Concord intercepted it, the truth had already ignited every major relay in the galaxy. The name Iron Veil burned across data screens, exposing the collusion between the Sarathi Dominion and Concord intelligence. Entire fleets hesitated mid-transit. Civilian channels flooded with outrage, disbelief, and fear. The illusion of peace cracked, and through that fracture, humanity's shadow returned. Captain Helena Cross stood in the command center of the Iron Dawn, the first Terran warship launched since the Treaty of Iron. Around her, officers moved with quiet focus, each carrying the same expression. Grim purpose. Status? She asked. Her communications officer turned from the console. Transmission confirmed across 6 sectors. Half the Concord's member states are demanding inquiry. The other half are calling for our destruction. Helena nodded once. Predictable. Lyric's calm voice filled the room. Incoming message, Priority Alpha, encoded Terran cipher. It's Admiral Tien. His hologram appeared above the central table, flickering slightly from distance distortion. The old admiral looked exhausted but resolute. You did it, he said. Every species in the Concord just realized they've been living under a lie. And now they'll need someone to blame, Helena replied. He grimaced. Zeltar's fleet is moving toward Sol. He's calling it a containment strike. He wants to finish what the siege of Sol couldn't. A cold quiet filled the bridge. Helena's eyes hardened. Then it begins again. Tien hesitated. The Council won't authorize defense mobilization. You'll be acting against the treaty. The treaty died the moment they built weapons in our name, she said. We're done asking permission to survive. He studied her face. You're not just fighting a war, Helena. You're defining humanity's future. Her reply was soft but unwavering. Then let it be defined by truth, not fear. The transmission ended. Hours later, the Iron Dawn fleet emerged from lunar shadow. 12 ships, resurrected from sealed shipyards deep beneath Earth's surface. They'd been entombed after the last war, preserved under the illusion of disarmament. Now their hulls gleamed again, black and silver against the dying light. Helena stood at the observation deck as the fleet aligned. Activate defensive grid. Route power to the forward shields. Aye, Captain, her helmsman said. Fleet formation ready. All systems nominal. Lyric's tone shifted. Enemy fleet detected. Sarathi Dominion formation, supported by Concord gunships. Estimated strength 2,300 vessels. The officers froze. Helena didn't. They think numbers are safety. They forgot what will is. The battle began with silence, the long, unbearable calm before an ancient rhythm returned. Then the void erupted. Energy beams cut through blackness like celestial fire. The Iron Dawn shook under the first wave, shields flaring white. Redirect auxiliary power to dorsal plating, Helena ordered. Focus point defense on plasma torpedoes. Captain, Lyric warned. Zeltar's flagship approaching. They're broadcasting. Patch it through. The holographic projection of Archon Zeltar materialized on the bridge, towering and composed. Still alive, he said. Admirable. You could have been legend, Helena. Instead, you'll be memory, she met his eyes. You've mistaken endurance for surrender, he sneered. Your defiance is futile. Humanity was a mistake corrected once before. This time, there'll be no survivors. Helena's tone remained calm. You studied us wrong, Zeltar. You think we fight because we hate war. We fight because we understand it. Zeltar's image flickered, his voice sharp. Then die understanding it. The link cut. Helena turned to her crew. Target his flagship. Focus all batteries. The fleet shifted into formation. 12 ships forming a blade of light against the endless dark. Plasma and kinetic fire lanced through the void. Alien dreadnoughts crumbled under coordinated Terran strikes. Precision replacing chaos. Discipline replacing fear. Every hit was calculated. Every move deliberate. Helena's commands flowed like choreography, her voice steady amid the storm. Sector 3, roll to port. Bring Vigilant into their flank. Saber reports reactor breach. Seal off decks 12 through 15, reroute power. Keep her in the line. The Iron Dawn surged forward through the wreckage, a solitary predator among panicked prey. Zeltar's fleet faltered, coordination fracturing as conflicting orders spread through Concord channels. Lyric's voice broke through. Captain, enemy command vessel isolating. Signal triangulated. Good, bring us in close. Prepare electromagnetic burst. Captain, at this range, she cut him off. Do it. The Iron Dawn descended through enemy fire, shields collapsing under plasma heat. The hull groaned, metal screaming. Helena gripped the rail as the light from exploding cruisers painted her face. Now! She shouted. The ship unleashed a focused EMP wave. Dozens of Sarathi vessels went dark, their power grids shredded. In the silence that followed, Helena's voice was barely above a whisper. Open channel to Zeltar. The Archon appeared again, his command deck bathed in red alarms. What do you think you've achieved? Helena leaned closer. Perspective, he roared. You can't win against the galaxy. We don't need to win, she said quietly. We just need the galaxy to see. Behind her. Lyric triggered the transmission, broadcasting live footage of Zeltar's fleet firing first. The captured evidence of the humans who never retaliated until forced. Billions across the stars watched in silence. Zeltar froze, realization dawning. You, Helena's eyes were ice. You called us monsters. Let them decide if you were right. Before he could respond, the Iron Dawn's forward batteries fired. A single, devastating volley that tore through his ship's core. Light swallowed the command vessel, dissolving into the void. Minutes passed. Then hours. The battle waned. The remaining Concord ships withdrew, transmissions fragmenting with confusion and fear. The war had not been won, but it had ended itself, no side willing to fight under truth's glare. Helena stood at the viewport as the last enemy signals vanished. Around her, the bridge lay in half-light, power rerouted, systems crippled but alive. Her first officer approached. We've lost 30% of the fleet, Captain. Earth stands intact. Helena's gaze lingered on the stars. Then the cost was paid in full. Lyric's voice softened. The Concord has convened an emergency assembly. Half of them are calling for negotiation. The others demand your arrest. Both are peace in their own way, she said. Will you go back? Helena shook her head slowly. No. Humanity needs to stand before them as what we are. Not accused, not apologetic, not submissive. Just awake. Later, in the quiet of her quarters, she recorded one final message. The light was dim, her uniform scorched, her voice calm. To the Galactic conquered, you built empires on fear of us. You forged chains and called them peace. But fear doesn't build peace, it builds ghosts. We've spent centuries trying to prove we belong among you. But we were never meant to belong. We were meant to end the cycle that made belonging necessary. Humanity was born for war, not to wage it endlessly, but to understand its cost better than any species ever could. That's why you fear us. Because we remember what you've forgotten. She paused, eyes drifting toward Earth's blue glow beyond the glass. If peace is to survive, let it be built on truth, not obedience. We will not bow. We will not vanish. We will stand, because that's what we were made for. She ended the recording. Lyric spoke quietly. Message archived. Shall I transmit? Helena nodded. To everyone. The AI hesitated. And what will you do now? Helena's reflection looked back at her. Weary, scarred, unbroken. What we always do. Adapt. Outside, the wreckage of war drifted across the stars, silent witnesses to a truth reborn. The galaxy had seen humanity's fury, but also its restraint. For the first time in centuries, peace didn't feel like surrender. In the dark, a single Terran vessel glided toward the unknown, its engines burning like a heartbeat that refused to die. And in that silence, when truth echoed through the void, humans were not born to destroy. We were born to end destruction.